and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica, and sorry you're not seeing my face right now, because if you can't tell by my voice, I've been suffering from a cold all week. So I kind of don't want to show my face right now, because I have a couple of acne from pretty much dealing with a cold and snot and sleeping with my mouth open and drooling. So probably a pleasant picture you wanted to imagine. But so that's the reason why I am not bringing you another part in the Decades Challenge. Instead, I'm bringing you a build for the Decades Challenge. I've noticed that my builds actually have been getting a lot of views, so especially with Henford on Bagley. So I figured I would go ahead and do another build one to show you what Peter and, oh wow, I just forgot our female sim that we're following. Well, the Westbrooks, since Peter did just end up getting married. To what home they're going to be moving into in Henford on Bagley. And I did renovate this home, so this was already, it was supposed to be, I think this was originally 3 Old Mill Lane, and I turned it into the Old Mill Manor. This is actually a home that was in the family for the Westbrooks. As I said, they kind of came from Henford on Bagley, even though he was born and raised in, wow, I'm forgetting a lot of things, guys, in the town that they currently live in. So technically his parents moved and he was born and raised in the town that they already currently live in. I am so sorry, and I will put down below the town he came from, because I guess I didn't think of to remember this, I guess. But, so this is technically what would have been 3 Old Mill Lane. It's one of the homes that you get that you can move into, and one of the kind of bigger, like, I kind of call old manors in the home. In the world. So, and I decided to renovate it to kind of make it a little bit more homey and more time period wise, because obviously this is the 1890s, and I don't think we can move to the next decade until at least probably Peter's kids are at least teenager. That kind of would make more sense, so we won't be changing the whole things up. So but anyways, so this is the home. It is a 2-story home, and the first kind of impression that you get, it is kind of gated. They do kind of, especially if they want to have kids, they kind of have to keep them corralled in areas. Otherwise, there is a pond that they could fall in. Even though I've never seen a sim fall into a pond. I've seen them play in it. And then you also have the farm kind of land, because the Westbrooks actually came from farm money. And the reason why Peter's parents were as well off as they were is because they owned a lot of farmland. But they ended up actually selling a lot of it, and some of it they did keep. One of this being these estates. That did end up making money way back when for the family. So it's kind of like a little bit of history, because obviously, really only thing that Peter has to go off on is his parents' money and then the dowry that his wife's family would have paid. So, and that's why they're going to start off with a good chunk of change, just because that would have been their dowry. And trying to convert it to today's, like, simoleons, just because I've realized when I was doing my own private decade challenge that this place, if you don't watch it, can rack up like $14,000 in like bills. Yikes. Unless it's an off the grid kind of thing, but we're not going to get eco-style living in this, so. Anyways, we also have a place where we can have a cow or a llama. Haven't decided. I think we're definitely going to go with a cow. I would like to set up where we could have a llama, but we may have to set up a different property for that. Have a little outdoor area, and of course we have where they go to the bathroom, because in the 1890s, one of the stipulations is that there is no plumbing in the house besides a tub. Just because since we don't really have an off-grid tub, so that looks time period. So when you come into the house, sorry this is not kind of like a very fancy explanation, but you have the entryway, and then off to the entryway to the right is the formal parlor. I would love to be able to have a family parlor, but the way the layout of this house went, there's no way I could have a family parlor. And technically I realized when I set up this house, I kind of did the opposite of what I did in my private, because I do have this house set up in Henford on Bagley for my private Decades Challenge I'm doing. Just to try to figure out all of the rules, for you guys. I had complete opposite, where I had the dining room and the kitchen like attached to each other, and then the parlor and the study were attached to each other over here. But anyways, so this is the parlor, and I have a nice, so I did this without them moving in first so that I could actually get some of these items that I wanted in the house before they move in. So one of them being, I believe this is supposed to be a harpsichord, but, you know, it's a very fancy harpsichord, and it would be time... Okay, sorry about that. My wonderful boyfriend went and shoveled off a path for the dogs to go to the bathroom, because we have 3-foot snowdrifts. It snowed a lot here in Iowa, so... Anyway, so harpsichord would have been about this time period, so it would have been a pipe organ. And also pianos at this time would have been also a thing, because harpsichord, I would say, would probably be more of the early 1800s, but I feel like, since this is supposed to be kind of like a harpsichord, but it's like a really fancy piano in The Sims, so, but this is their kind of sitting area. I really didn't know how to decorate in here, just because the 1890s, people would have decorated with extravagant things, but we don't really have a lot of time period stuff in The Sims. And I could have went out and got custom content for this, but for some reason my mods folder does not work, and it won't allow me to add any new mods. And I still have not figured it out, so I'm sorry. But anyways, I'm just rambling. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I've recorded, so I'm just rambling. The first thing that you also see, this is, I think, is supposed to be a bathroom, but I decided to make it a front, like, entry. Just because, since technically the bathroom already has a sink in there, and then the bathroom that they bathe in is upstairs. So I decided to kind of make this like a little cellar area. Houses in the 1890s, it was actually common where you started seeing downstairs cellars, especially in these big of houses, because you would have had a lot of food preserved. And maybe that might be an idea for a later on kind of thing, but... So I kind of made a cellar in here. It's just kind of like makeshift, because I really didn't know what to put in here, since I did make the space a little bit smaller, because it's supposed to be like one more tile length, like, bigger, because it was an actual, like, fully furnished bathroom. But, and I put like a cabinet in here because it doesn't really have any china. It actually has like spices and stuff in it, so yeah. And then also had like some of it kind of being in the back entryway, like bringing it in so that to be used for the day's meal or the week's meal. Kind of moving along over here before we go back over here. I also have the formal dining room, and of course they probably would have entertained a lot of guests in here as well. So you have the dining table, you have the bar stools, and then you have another harpsichord in here, or fancy piano. And then it goes right in here into the study. Now, the man's study in a lot of, like, Victorian mansions usually would have been sometimes in the center of the home. At least it's very common here over on the western half of Iowa, just because you want access to each room. So the man of the office can either escape if he wanted to, or leave and go to a room if there's an emergency or something like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it's common throughout the different Victorian type style homes throughout the United States. I don't know if that is. It also was very common also to have a study on the second floor, depending on if you actually live in an estate manor, like over in England. But let me know down in the comments below of the research that you've seen in Victorian homes, if you really love, you know, researching Victorian homes and their different layouts and styles. But I decided to put this one on the far one just because I feel like Peter just wants to, when he needs to take a break and turn around and look out, he can see all of his beautiful garden, his animals, and his fields that he's working. Now, I have considered possibly getting Patchy to help out with it, because it's just so much work for one sim to do, and I feel like Peter's wife would help him. However, I feel like once they have kids, she's not going to be able to help them, and I may hire a nanny, even though a lot of the child rearing, I think one of the rules... Now, these rules, again, can be changed up. You don't have to follow them to a T from what it says at the beginning of the rules, because we're not doing the cow plant thing. Even though I think the reason why you need to have the cow plant is when you get to a decade of war, it helps kill off Sims. However, I'll just do creative ways to kill off Sims. It's fine. Where was I going with that? Oh, I may cheat and get a nanny because I did put... as one of the traits and challenges. So if we have twins, it gets a little difficult with just one sim. So, might hire a nanny. But not saying that Peter's wife would not be involved with her children. I really want to say Peter's wife's name is Hannah. I'm pretty sure it's Hannah. This is going to bother me. Hold on, I need to look it up. Yeah, it's Hannah. I was like, I don't know why I drew a blank on her name. So it's Hannah. Anyways, so then over here we do have the kitchen. It's very kind of plain because, again, we don't really have a lot of like period time utensils. We do have like, you know, tea kettles that look, there would have been a bread box. This is another like flour box, water pitchers, canisters, because a lot of the stuff is like up here. And a lot of this is from that pack, that country kind of like chic pack, that kit, or I should say it's not pack, it's a kit. So you get a lot of the old-timey kind of things in here, because it's supposed to be like a country kitchen, but it's more of like a Victorian kind of vintage kitchen. So if you are watching this, you also see that there is a bowl here. I do plan on Peter and Hannah getting a dog. Or two. Haven't decided yet. Or a dog and a cat. So, because the cats are very helpful and the dogs are very helpful in chasing the foxes away, because the foxes have been so annoying. That's the reason why I changed this lot trait to spooky. Because again, this is an old family manor. There probably is some ghosts hanging around, who knows. From the fox one, because it's just, they're getting so annoying. But, oh, and I forgot we have a chicken coop back here. And then, of course, the exit to the back door, or to the backyard. Now, up here, we do have a big grand staircase going up. And I did end up kind of changing the layout upstairs a little bit, only over here. So we do have kind of like a nursery type area. It's just in this small room, and then we have two different rooms. So I'm hoping if they do have twins, I only plan on having them have like 2 children. No more than that. Until they get old enough where we might be able to pair them off into rooms. So I'm hoping it's a boy and a girl. Crossing our fingers. So this is pretty much, I have it themed where it's kind of like a boys and girls room, but right now they're kind of themed as guest rooms as well. Then we also have the bathroom upstairs for guests, and of course for the children to use and share. And then we have Peter and Hannah's room. It is a beautiful emerald green, with emerald green tones, with also soft and bright wood tones in the room as well. Very cozy, very, I also have a desk in here because I forgot to put a desk in the parlor, because it was very common, at least over here in America, in the Midwest, that women had their desks in the parlor because that's where they did most of their work. So you can see that I am trying to keep it very time period wise. So then over here is their master bathroom, and I did give them 2 sinks and 2 baths so that, you know, they don't have to wait. If they want to take a bath together, they could take a bath together, even though it was not very common back then. Kind of doing my own kind of Victorian thing, because Victorians were not always so posh and so appropriate like a lot of people like to think they were, because they did some taboo things that weren't really society appropriate, but you know. But yeah, so that is pretty much what Peter and Hannah are going to be moving into. So I'm so excited for you guys to see this. So the next part will be focusing on Peter and Hannah moving into this home and kind of making their way in life. But after that, I think I may branch off and do 2 new LPs so that we have kind of a rotation going down. So it kind of breaks up the monotony of just doing the decade challenge. Just because I'm kind of starting to feel like we're kind of hitting a wall with this, at least for me, and I need to go on to something new for a little bit. But we're gonna, as I said, it's gonna be a rotation. I would like to get 3 LPs going so that we can rotate each month, and just kind of give a break a little bit. Now, you're probably thinking this is really chaotic, and it might be. We'll see if this works and can kind of keep track, but just trying to give a little bit of new flavor and something new each time. So, but thank you so much for watching. If you really did like what you saw for this, I may, let me know down in the comments, and I may upload it to the gallery so you guys can have fun playing this in Henford on Bagley. And again, this is just I just renovated it. That's all I did. And added some of my own flares to it. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button and bell notification. I post fun Sims content like this every Friday under Ginger Snaps Gaming 19. And fun bookish content / writing content / live content on Mondays under Ginger Books. I hope everybody has a great start to their weekend, and I will see you in the next video.